Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits, and for Spooktober, I have a true horror story for you. It starts with the Android Essential phone and the father of Android, Andy Rubin. So it should be said that Andy Rubin isn't particularly the only person that created Android, but he was the first one to be given the name Android, and it seems as if he was one of the key developers. Android got purchased by Google, who later became Alphabet, and with that acquisition, Google started making Google phones. It took a long time, but eventually, Google started to make and manufacture their own phones. The thing about the Android operating system is Google made it available to absolutely everyone that would use it as long as those individuals released the source code of the phone, making it open source, which is beautiful because they just gave out the operating system, making it so it would be cheaper for end users to get one of these phones. So we all know some people who just don't have the time, the care, the money, the energy in order to get this stuff, in order to get the nicest of the smartphones. But with Android, since the operating system was free, the price came down lower and lower until it got super affordable. So Rubin made the operating system. Google made it a great operating system for a phone, and with it, we now have the freedom to enjoy a smartphone at a reasonable price that isn't an Apple. So, the father of Android later gets he leaves Google. Officially, he leaves Google and he goes and makes his own phone. And then Google starts manufacturing their own phone too. So here we have the operating systems on phones by the creator operating how they should. A lot of times you can get really cheap Androids that just do not operate how they should. They do not operate as expected. They're so full of bloatware. But the Essential phone and the Google Pixel do not come with any of this stuff. So you can use it stock, which is beautiful. It runs how it's supposed to. And both of these are updated all the way to Windows 10. And for the longest time, the Essential phone was the only phone that would update to, did I say Windows 10? I'm sorry, I mean Android 10. And there's a lot of apps that give me a warning as soon as I open them saying that they weren't meant for Android 10. These guys are years old, and all the other groups are playing catch up with them. They're so well looked after. The father of Android has made sure that the updates keep coming, and as long as the hardware keeps going, I wonder if they'll put Android 11 on here. Now, a lot of people didn't like the Essential phone, but I think that they just weren't looking at it in the right way, in the right eyes, in the right direction. But before we get into that, let's talk about one of the big reasons that it seems like the Essential phone app crashed. And that is that these days politics, your social life will play a lot into technology, into how your technology business does. Now, Silicon Valley is definitely full of social justice warriors and people who want to change the world. There are people in Silicon Valley right now, Spotify. It has employees that are saying, well, they're on the clock that are protesting the Joe Rogan buyout and saying if you don't drop Joe Rogan, then we'll have to leave. Coinbase is willing to get rid of any social justice warriors within Coinbase, and they're willing to pay, I think, $100,000 each just to get them out of there. But why does that have anything to do with the Essential phone, you might ask? Well, a lot of people say the New York Times says that the reason that Andy Rubin left Google was he was told to get out because of, now I hope I'm getting this right, I've done a lot of research and it's hard to get proper information on this, but somebody that he was having an extramarital affair with reported to the employers that Andy had pressured her for oral sex at a business event. And I don't think we'll ever get what really happened there. We'll never find out what really happened, but ultimately Andy left Google with 90,000. There are reports to say that, within the New York Times article, to say that Google found the claim to be possibly correct. There was two words that they used. It was, oh, I can't remember it right now, but there was a very good chance that the claims were right. So he leaves, and eventually, when the New York Times article gets dropped, all of a sudden there's social justice warriors all over the place jumping on, and there is an r/essential phone, or maybe it's just essential, that has been brigadiered. Basically, it's completely locked off, and it says, "Don't buy from these guys. Buy from Fairphone." And I do recommend Fairphone. If you want to make good stuff go on in the universe, get a Fairphone. But as far as this phone goes, it's great. It didn't do too good. It's one of the only problems I can actually find is with the camera. But still, I find that if you're videotaping Earth, it really hits the Earth tones. But for everything else, it is a little bit dark, and it is unbelievably easy to smudge, because you find that the glass in the back is easily picking up whatever crud, and if you don't have a case on it, that crud can get right into the camera space and make you take blurry videos. I just did that, unfortunately. Took a really blurry video, unfortunately. But it really seems like the death of the essential phone comes mostly on the issues of Andy Rubin having an extramarital affair. And I wonder, is this a scorned ex-lover trying to take a shot? Maybe he said that perhaps he said he'd leave his wife for her, and didn't actually. His wife has left him now. And there was conspiracy theorists saying that Andy Rubin was part of a Pizzagate thing, but man, you had a lot of crazy conspiracy theorists saying all kinds of fun stuff. And conspiracy theory is a spice of life when it comes to the internet, but like comic books, it's entertaining, but don't believe everything that you hear. These phones are both wonderful. They're great. The only issue I run into them is if I take video while they're plugged in, sometimes they overheat and die. And because of that, I have actually put a super ghetto heat sink on here, and it actually worked. I glued 4/4 to it, and blam, just like that. It actually works. It's a pretty good camera. I ended up upgrading, but still, really nice to have these phones that are actually based off the specifications that the makers of the operating system, which the whole thing is based on, have come in and made. And it's so cool. Now, a lot of people say that this phone is not as good as it could be. And I gotta say, I like them being thick. Oh, I like the thick ladies. Look at that. These are really fat ladies. And because of that, they have really great batteries. And I really like that. There's a lot of people who prefer thin phones. There's a Samsung, LG, thin phones. Don't give me a thin phone. Give me a real phone that'll last me the day, that'll do exactly what I want, that doesn't come with bloatware. People say the price was too high on the Essential phone. But the reason why it was so high is because it was just the Essentials. There's no bloatware. If you have bloatware on your system, then you probably got a bit of a discount in order to have that bloatware there. The bloatware facilitates the low price of the operating system. And if you want to go cheap, you go Android. That's just how it goes. So the price definitely was higher. But one thing I noticed pretty quickly is this thing has octo cores. It's right, friends, 8 cores. The Google Pixel only has 4. So that means I can mine for the open pandemic and map cancer tracers and all that fun stuff, no problem. Now, the Essential phone was about to come out with a second iteration. It was going to be unbelievably long, and a lot of people laughed at it, and that's the last any of us ever heard about it. Andy Rubin continues on, going forward, doing excellent things in the tech industry. Sounds like, unfortunately, he broke up with his wife, and it definitely seems like it's an unfortunate thing that private life circumstance definitely seems to have taken a chunk out of history when it comes to business. But that's the new world, and that is the story, and that is the nuance of the situation. What you do outside of life definitely affects business and definitely affects politics. It's a new world. That's where we are. But it's still one hell of a phone. I really like it. I really like it. My only complaint is the camera, and my other one is that if you're taking video while it's plugged in, you're going to have a bad time. It's going to crash. But still, Tale of Two Kings. the pixel continues, and hopefully nothing will take it down. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Check out the Essential Phone if you can. It's good stuff. I brought it back from the dead for this Spooktober episode. Anyways, like and subscribe if you like this stuff. It's always appreciated. And as always, folks, take care of each other.